Very good morning, students. Welcome to the class. In this class, we will cover DG class for your geography book chapter 3 Our Changing Earth. ठीक है, तो हम आज अपनी DG क्लास को स्टार्ट करते हैं चैप्टर 3 के लिए.
Do you know what is happening? An earthquake, a natural phenomenon that causes a sudden shaking or trembling of the earth. An earthquake occurs when there is a disturbance in the Earth's crust. Let us look at the causes of an earthquake in more detail. The Earth's crust is broken down into various tectonic plates, also referred to as Earth's plates. These plates are continuously moving. A disturbance is caused when one plate moves below another plate due to collision. Or when these plates brush past one another. This disturbance generates waves referred to as seismic waves. These waves travel at a very high speed. The point from which the disturbance originates is called the focus. When these waves reach the surface of the Earth, we experience a tremor. This tremor usually lasts for a very short period of time. The point on the Earth's surface that lies directly above the focus is called the epicenter. The zones that are at the boundaries of these plates are more prone to earthquakes. These zones are called seismic or fault zone. The earthquake-prone zones in India are Kashmir, the western and central parts of Himalayas, the northeast region, Rajasthan, Rann of Kutch, the Indo-Gangetic Plain, and some areas in South India. Earthquakes are also caused by volcanic eruptions, meteors hitting the Earth, and underground nuclear explosions. Nuclear explosions are triggered by human activities. Most earthquakes are caused by the movement of the Earth's plates. The power of an earthquake is expressed in terms of magnitude. Earthquakes can be of different magnitude. To measure the magnitude, the seismic waves of an earthquake are recorded using an instrument called seismograph. These records are quantified using a Richter scale. A seismograph includes a vibrating rod or pendulum, a pen, and a paper. When an earthquake occurs, the vibrating rod or pendulum begins to vibrate, and the seismic waves are recorded on paper. Scientists use these records to estimate the magnitude of the earthquake and construct a complete map of the earthquake. The effects of an earthquake are proportional to its magnitude. Major earthquakes are less frequent and can cause devastating effects such as loss of human life and damage to buildings, dams, and other property. Major earthquakes can also cause landslides, tsunami, and volcanoes. Let us take the example of a major earthquake that occurred in the Indian Ocean. December 26, 2004. An undersea earthquake occurred and lasted for nearly 10 minutes. The magnitude of the earthquake measured 9.3 on the Richter scale. As the earthquake was a major undersea one, it triggered devastating tsunami wave. This impacted countries such as Indonesia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, and India. According to the United Nations report on the earthquake, nearly 180,000 people died and over 42,000 were reported missing. Did you know? Earthquakes happen all the time. However, we can feel only major earthquakes. Once upon a time, the 7 continents of the world were one mass of land called Pangaea. Over a period of time, as a result of the movement of tectonic plates, Pangaea was naturally split into a number of parts or continents. You can stand on 2 different tectonic plates in San Andreas Fault.
In our solar system, planet Earth is known to be the only planet to support life. Earth is a peaceful place for human survival. However, when natural disasters strike, they cause great damage to life. Can you name some natural disasters that you know of? An earthquake is a natural disaster wherein there is a sudden trembling of the earth. An earthquake occurs when there is a disturbance in the earth's crust.
Where did this earthquake occur?
In this disastrous earthquake, the village of Bhuj in Kutch, Gujarat, was the epicenter. A strong earthquake is capable of breaking down buildings and dams. Earthquakes can also cause landslides, tides, and volcanic eruptions.
Another natural disaster called tsunami hit the Indian Ocean on December 26, 2004. Do you know what a tsunami is?
Tidal waves or tsunami are large water waves that are caused by the earthquakes in the sea.
Do you know that besides earthquakes, tsunamis can also be caused due to volcanic eruptions, underwater explosions, landslides, or when big chunks of glaciers break away?
A series of tidal waves destructed the South Asian countries of India, Sri Lanka, Indonesia, and Thailand. The tsunami claimed the lives of many, and numerous people turned homeless. The 2004 tsunami was triggered by a high magnitude earthquake that took place under the Indian Ocean. Which country was hit by a tsunami in 2011?
The disastrous Japan earthquake that occurred on March 11, 2011 was followed by a tsunami that had a devastating effect on many coastal areas of the country.
Do you know what this smoky ash coming out of the mountain is?
This is a volcano. A volcano is an opening in the Earth's surface from which hot lava, volcanic ash, and gases emerge from the Earth's crust. Did you know that the hot molten material or lava which gushes out during a volcano is known as magma when it is within the Earth's chamber?
The lava cools down to form rocks. Did you know that this arch of the Pacific Ocean is called the Pacific Ring of Fire? This belt consists of more than 75% of the volcanoes of the world. Can you name some places in India that are prone to volcanic eruptions? The barren island located in the Andaman and Nicobar territory is the only volcanic eruption site in India.
As a river flows along its course, it performs three main actions. They are the act of erosion, transportation, and deposition. The alluvium produced by erosional work of the rivers gets transported with the flow of water. As the slope of the land decreases, the velocity of the river also decreases. As a result, its load-carrying capacity decreases and eventually the river drops down the load. This process in which the load is getting settled along the course of the river is called deposition. The process of transportation and deposition results in the formation of various landforms such as meanders and oxbow lakes, floodplains, flood levees and deltas. When the amount of load increases, the river fails to transport all the material. Small obstacles in the way can change the direction of the flow. Under such conditions, the outer bank of the river gets eroded and the inner bank experiences deposition of the material. If deposition happens repeatedly, the river develops zigzag path. Such zigzag path is called meandering path, and each loop is known as meander. Another important landform is the Oxbow Lake. Let's know how it is formed. As meanders become extremely sinuous, the loops in a meander erode the floodplain until eventually the loop in the meander is cut off from the main river channel. There are thus more chances that the river will choose a shorter path and cut through a meander and follow the straight path. The isolated meander then becomes a crescent-shaped Oxbow Lake. In the North Indian plains, such lakes have been formed by the river Ganga and its tributaries. Such lakes have also been formed by the river Brahmaputra in the state of Assam. When the river floods, the finer materials move away from the banks, while the coarsest part of its load, such as pebbles, gravel and sand, gets deposited close to the river channel. Due to such depositions on either side of the river, plains are formed. Such plains are called floodplains. Thus, floodplains can be defined as areas of flat lands found on either side of rivers. The elevation along the bank increases due to deposition of coarser material, giving rise to hillock-like forms parallel to river banks. Such landforms are called flood levees. In the flood-prone areas of river Ganga, such floodplains and levees are found. When a river meets the sea water offers resistance to the flow of river water. Consequently, the load brought by the river gets deposited at the mouth of the river, leading to obstacles in the flow of the river. As a result, the water gets bifurcated into a number of channels called distributaries. The deposition leads to the formation of a plain, which is the shape of a triangle. This is called a delta region. Extensive deltas have been formed along the mouths of the river Ganga, Godavari and Kaveri. Chance to recall the main points covered in this session. In the coastal areas, sea waves perform the work of erosion and deposition. The location where the force of the sea waves is intense, erosion takes place on a large scale, whereas the location where the force of the sea waves is weak, deposition takes place. Do you know what is a headland? The portions of land projecting into the sea are called headlands. When the basal portions of a headland get severely eroded by sea waves, it results in the formation of a rocky coast. Several landforms are formed due to erosive activity of sea waves. Let us learn about landforms that are formed by the erosional action of sea waves. Landforms produced by the erosive activity of sea waves are sea cliff, wave-cut platform, sea cave, sea arch, and sea stack. Click to know more. Due to continuous attack of the sea waves, the base of the headland gets eroded, giving rise to near vertical slope. This is known as a sea cliff. Sea cliffs are found in Harihareshwar in the Raigad district and Bhagwati Bandar in the Ratnagiri district of Maharashtra. On the rocky coast, sea cliffs are severely attacked by sea waves. This results in the formation of a flat platform at the base of sea cliff. Such flats are called wave-cut platform. When the sea waves attack the base of headland, some air gets trapped in the cracks in the rock and puts pressure on the rock. As the waves recede, the trapped air gets released in an explosive manner. This gives rise to tremendous energy. As this happens frequently, the rocks become weak, leading to formation of niche. Over a period of time, this niche grows broader and deeper. This is called a sea cave. When the sea cave is eroded by the sea waves further, it widens the cave, resulting into formation of sea arch. When the roof of the arch is continuously eroded by the sea waves, it eventually collapses, leaving an isolated stack. This is called sea stack. Did you know, as the Maharashtra coast is largely a rocky coast, landforms formed by erosion work of sea waves are found in places such as Srivardhan in Raigad district or along the coast of Ratnagiri, Sindhudurg, etc. A glacier is a large mass of ice that acts like a river, flowing downhill under the influence of gravity. Like other agents of erosion, such as rivers, wind, groundwater, etc., glaciers also perform the work of erosion, transportation, and deposition. The erosion, transportation, and deposition work of glaciers gives rise to various landforms. Can you name the landforms formed by the deposition work of glaciers? Let's know about each one of them in detail. As the glacier melts, it deposits the material or load it has been carrying. This load transported by glaciers is called moraine. The amount of moraine is higher towards the base and the banks of the glaciers. Later, when the ice is converted into water, the larger and coarser moraines are deposited at shorter distances, and the finer moraine is carried over to a longer distance. There are several different types of moraine, such as ground moraine, lateral moraine, medial moraine, and terminal moraine. Lateral moraines are material deposited along the banks of the glacier. Medial moraines are found in the central part of the glacier after the union of two glaciers. It is formed out of the side moraine of the inner banks of the two glaciers. Terminal moraine is found at the end where a glacier turns into a stream of water. Moraine is found in huge quantity at this location as the water flow cannot carry the material brought by the glaciers. Ground moraine is the material deposited at the base of the glacier. Huge heaps of ground moraines deposited in the form of egg-shaped hills are called drumlins. This feature is found in the Northern Ireland and North European plains. At times, the moraine gets deposited in the form of long, winding, narrow hills with steep slopes. These are called eskers. Rivers, glaciers, sea waves, groundwater and wind are the different agents of erosion. In this session, we will learn about landforms formed by wind erosion and regions where wind erosion is predominantly found. Wind carries sand and pebbles that strike and scratch the rocks, thereby making the elevated and basal portion of the rocks get eroded. Sometimes sand particles are lifted due to the forceful winds and are carried over distances. Due to these processes, the landforms such as deflation hollows, mushroom rock and yardines are formed. When the sand in hot deserts are lifted and carried away, a depression is formed in the area from where the sand is carried away. Such depressions are called deflation hollows. The Katara depression in northeast Egypt is formed in this way. This place is the largest vanished land in the world. The depth of the Katara depression is 133 meters deep below sea level. Sand particles that are carried by wind move with different velocities. Particles moving along the ground are larger and slower. Particles at medium height are smaller and faster, hence they have greater impact in the process of erosion. High-rising rocks in the path of the wind are attacked more effectively by the sand particles at medium height. As a result, the medium part of the rock is eroded more and acquires the shape of a mushroom. These rocks are called mushroom rock. Yardines are the landforms formed due to unequal erosion of softer and harder rocks. When compared to harder rocks on the surface, softer rocks get eroded more by the sand particles that are moving with the wind, due to which eroded softer rocks appear like elongated troughs and harder rocks as elevations. This landform is known as yardine. Do you know the erosional work of the wind is predominantly found in which regions? The erosional work of the wind is predominantly found in the arid and semi-arid regions. These regions are generally found that are close to the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. In these regions,